Hey everybody, welcome back to another CPaaSAA Talk. I'm here today with Zach and Luc. Zach's dialing in from East Coast US, where it has some storms, so we're going to hope that he makes it through this whole session alive and working. And Luc is dialing in from Spain, Barcelona area, so it's another international session. Let's start with a couple of quick introductions. Luke, why don't you start? What's your role at Bright Pattern, and what do you guys do, really quickly?
Okay, so I'm leading Europe, Middle East, and Africa for Bright Pattern in terms of business development. We are let's call it AI-powered contact center solution, but also on-prem, so that we have the two solutions are exactly the same, could be deployed either on-prem or in the cloud, or even in the private cloud. So depending on the market, where you see us globally all over the world, and my region is really currently an exploding one because we are taking care of the Middle East, so including KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and the Emirates, and all of that region, as well as Africa. So that's really what I'm doing. I mean, we're gonna keep talking about this later.
Yeah, thanks. Zach, same question for you. Quick introduction and your role there.
Sure. So I lead the partnerships team for White Label Communications. Historically, we've been a UCaaS provider for the last 15 years or so. Over the last year and a half, we've basically taken our entire UCaaS platform. We've broken it down into all API calls and webhooks. And now we make voice a very easy solution available for your SaaS providers, ISVs, and enterprise partners. Along with the UCaaS functionality, we can provide any of the CPaaS channels via a single API. So that could include your RCS, SMS, MMS, WhatsApp, WebRTC, all the sort of channels that people are using in everyday business to communicate with their customer base.
Cool. So what I like about what the both of you are doing is, first of all, the channel, right? You're trying to work and go through telcos and service providers in different shapes and forms. So why don't we start to talk a little bit about that? Why is there such an interest in that? And Luke, why don't we start with you? Because you already mentioned KSA. I know Middle East has been interested in more local deployments for a long time. And I think with the current geopolitical situation, we see more of that in Europe, in EMEA, all over EMEA as well. And there's a lot of it makes a lot of sense, right, for service providers and telcos to have a bit more control than with just a traditional or full public cloud solution. So how do you see that?
Well, I'm not going to talk about the political point of view because I don't want to enter that discussion. But um, what I can say is, in general terms, um, the contact center or the CCaaS or the UCaaS world in general has changed for the last 10 years. Where 10 years ago WhatsApp was not there, and everybody's using WhatsApp, was using Line in Southeast Asia, was using Messenger or whatever type of different technologies today, to allow CCaaS or UCaaS communication, but CCaaS in general terms, where you want to be able to provide any type of communication um, application to your clients in order for them to be able to reach you, and that has changed your worlds compared to the normal voice, or the normal email. Today you see Telegram, you see WhatsApp, you see IMO. I mean, name them. There is like zillions of them getting into the market, and if you're not able to get into providing services towards those guys, you're never going to succeed, because the I mean, we old, right? I mean, I shouldn't say this, but you recording the session, so we are definitely old compared to the young generation that use any type of different communication today. So if it's Instagram, TikTok, and all of the social medias, but I mean, we need to provide something different, or combine to the guys to ask questions and to get answers, no matter what they use. So email and all of the social media platforms. That's really
Yeah,
the.
that
Mhm.
makes sense. And Zach, you mentioned that in your introduction as well, that you have sort of a CPaaS layer or addition or whatever you want to call it on top of what used to be traditional UCaaS for that same sort of flexibility, the different social channels, etc. And now you're on mute.
I cut out there for a second. So sorry. I mean, our philosophy around this, and I think Luke hit the nail on the head here, it's really right customer on the right channel at the right time. And so being able to find ways to support your customer base and how they're supporting their clientele is really what it comes down to. That's the customer experience. So while some folks may prefer to use a voice channel to get their information, we live in the moment of now, and people want to be able to text or use a social media solution or connect on a website and connect via WebRTC, whether that's an audio or a chat type of solution. And so when we're able to provide those channels, especially through a single API, I think it allows customers to say, I have all this availability to meet my customers where they're at. One of the cool things that we also support is failover, right? So when an organization, maybe, RCS is this new big thing and everyone wants to push out RCS. Well, maybe your phone's not enabled because it's a little bit older, or maybe grandma's going to a doctor's appointment and she doesn't have RCS because she's using a flip phone. So we're able to go from RCS to an SMS, and maybe the phone's turned off and fail over into an email. At the end of the day, it's about getting the content to the customer in a mode that's most efficient and cost effective.
So and then in your case, how's the partnership with your, let's say, service providers that bring it to market? Do they get that flexibility as well and add their own logic and additions?
Yeah, 100%. So they're able to provide the content and provide the mode in which they want that delivered. And again, assuming someone doesn't have something enabled, they have other options at that point. We work a lot in highly regulated and compliant type of situations, right? So you're talking about healthcare, you're talking about banking and financial services, those kind of organizations. So not sending unsecured messaging or sending, providing calls or providing situations where communication is not only the utmost importance, but also needs to get there in a compliant way. We absolutely have to provide different options for these clients for them to engage with us. And so that was a big focus of what we're doing, so we could enter the enterprise market. I mean, historically, you think of UCaaS and it's your managed service providers and your value-added resellers. Because we've opened the door with not only being an API first sort of organization, but also being able to provide numerous channels on a single API, we've been able to now go to broader software companies and enterprises and put forward a value proposition that's very attractive to them.
Zach, I like what you just said, because what we're doing is the ability for an agent, when he's in a communication or voice communication, to exchange on the same time through WhatsApp, through SMS, through web chat, to do exactly in the same screen, just to have that multiple way of communicating that are gathered into one single, unified, unified agent, unified screen whatsoever. But I mean, to keep that communication path through, no matter what they use, and I really like that, philosophy, because that's what the clients are. Then you don't want them to go from app A, app 1 to app B to app C. You want them to keep into the same, the same way.
I couldn't agree with you more. It needs to be fluid, right? It needs to work in the way we live.
And what I'm hearing is that, and I see that happening as well, that the traditional boundaries of UCaaS and CCaaS and CPaaS are disappearing, and quite rapidly, right? Because the customer or the channel partner needs more flexibility, so they want programmability, they want the APIs, and nobody knows where the let's say the enterprise experience ends and the customer experience starts. So it's all coming together, getting together, but also makes it more complicated for the providers and the channel partners, I think. Who wants to respond to that?
I mean, I definitely agree with that. The biggest part of what we're doing is it's not saying we have all these channels. It's really educating our clients and customers. Not only are the channels available, but how do you use them and when are they most appropriate, and what are the use cases? Or with healthcare, what would be the clinical workflow that makes sense here? So having the technology is great. having the subject matter expertise is equally, if not more important, because you're asking organizations to implement tools that, one, they may think is really cool, right? But they have no experience in doing so. So we have to be the trusted advisor, the consultant, to not only show them how they're saving money and becoming more efficient, but ultimately providing more value to those customers.
Yeah, I think it's really depending on, when you're building a use case, just to understand exactly what the client needs to have and what they need to be able to use, and then to facilitate, new technology, new applications for them to use. But, honestly, I mean, you're going to be talking about AI in a couple of minutes, but AI is, for example, one of the facilitator to that, being able to mix different technologies together and providing the best of breed for, let's call it, customer experience. We are in this world where we just want to be served. You don't want to be asking questions. You want to be just, I mean, you want to have the agent on the other side of the line, or the AI to answer more or less, in line with what you are asking for. And
Yeah.
that's, the mixture of all of this makes a lot of
Well,
you know, sense.
since you brought up AI, look, thank you. Let's talk about AI a little bit, because the way I look at it is, so one of the problems always has with CPaaS has been that you needed developers to program against the APIs, and it's complicated, da da da. And now here's the world of AI, where we have technology that can actually do that stuff. And if not today, then 3 months from now or a year from now. So this sort of integration is on the technical side is sort of getting sorted. And what we've been seeing for a while already, for a couple of years, is sort of the transition of the narrative from technology and platforms to business outcomes and verticals and customers and customer needs and customer experience. So I think we're sort of flipping the whole script here for the entire industry. Instead of selling technology, we're now working with customers and with partners on solving real problems. And AI is an accelerator for all of that. Is that what you see as well, Luc?
To a certain extent, but you still need brain, if I may say, official, original, real brain. While Zach was talking about healthcare, I mean, if I asked you for an appointment with a doctor, you expect the system to give you um, a meeting with, or an appointment with your doctor. But if you ask for, I want to book a flight, I mean, again, it's all depending on if it needs to be organized. Today, AI, if you ask a question to ChatGPT, to OpenAI, name them, there's so zillions of applications today, you might get the wrong answer, like booking a plane and getting a car ride, or booking an appointment with a doctor and may get an appointment with somebody building a house. Because the system didn't understand what you were asking for. So it still need to be more or less, drive by some people behind the scenes, making some syntax, or it's going to come, but it's still, for me, and I might be wrong, but it's still early stages. I might be too old for that. Zach?
I agree. I agree with Luc 100% here. I think you go to any conference, at least this year, and every single exhibitor says they can do AI amazingly. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to change your business. It's the next greatest thing. And, basically they have some less than adequate wrapper around ChatGPT, and you wind up getting all sorts of interesting answers, to put it kindly. I would say a couple places that I've seen AI work really well, at least in our space, is one, with some of the chatbots available, and sort of tied into that, the ambient listening solutions, where they're able to sort of pull information and appropriately insert it in your ERP or your CRM or your EHR, whatever sort of software you're using as an organization. I think the amount of time savings and efficiency that can be tied to that has been extremely beneficial. But to Luc's point, in terms of the tools accomplishing specific tasks when you're making asks of them, it's not to a generative point yet, right? We're not to the point where AI is able to learn as much from itself as we would hope. So it's a great start, but there's a long way to go.
It will not replace the human yet.
Go, right? Because I think we're at the starting point of this transition. And the next couple of years is going to be a different game than it was in the past 10 or 15 years when we brought stuff to the cloud. So what do you see as the, let's say, if you look ahead to the rest of the year 2025, right? And if we were to record this again a year from now, early 2026, what do you think by then would be your biggest accomplishment or the biggest success? So the big successes you're going to get this year in 2025. Luc, what do you think?
Understanding the market, being able to respond to the requirements, and tailor the answers to, what the market is going to ask. Because I mean, in general terms, you're talking about vertical markets, you're talking about general markets. So you go, healthcare is one, hospitals, telcos, name them, real estate, whatever. All of those markets are having different requirements. So it's gonna be tough to align and to provide the right response to the right market and to tailor the right solution together. So I think we're gonna still need some people to understand how to tailor the whole thing together and what would be the best beneficial solution for them. But honestly, the market is changing. I mean, 6 months ago, we were not thinking about what we've seen today. So in 6 months from now, you're going to be able to ask whatever and get the answer. So it's so quick. We so old also with this new technology. We can't keep with it. But no, it's really going to move. So, but it's fun because we need to keep up and getting the R&D, the product management, and to make the good alliance with the right people. It's a really, really interesting market. It's really, I mean, how do you say it? Rejuvenizing? How do you say it in English? Come on, Rob, help me. No, Zach, you American, go ahead. Rejuvenizing. Rob, Zach, you mute.
Rejuvenating. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I agree with Luc that technology has never changed faster than what we've seen in our professional careers to this day. I think, over the last month and a half or so, we've been to 4 or 5 different conferences, and we've filled our pipeline up with probably 30 different opportunities. And the reason for that is, I think, because this API-driven approach to a full stack, fully programmable voice solution is really resonating. Non-traditional voice providers working in the SaaS space or, excuse me, independent software vendor space are realizing implementing telephony now is nearly as difficult and nearly as complicated as it may have been in the past. And to be able to look at it as a data stream, as another sticky channel to bring clients on board in terms of not only providing value, but also saying, this is something that if I implement it, it's going to be tough to get away from a vendor who provides something like that, because it's just so much more additional information that I otherwise wouldn't be able to get. So I would hope, based on the momentum that we've had as a result of sort of feeling out the market over the last quarter, that by this time next year, a lot of those will convert, and the opportunity to really see more software vendors and platforms providing additional communication channels, whether that be voice or your CPaaS channels or call center. It's going to be much more prevalent because they realize implementation is significantly easier than it's ever been in the past.
It's been exciting and interesting talking to you guys about everything that's happening. Luc, I know we can talk for another 45 minutes. I know, and we're going to repeat this conversation, or we're going to follow up in a couple of months to see how much has really happened and changed. I think the pace of change is really accelerating. I guess we keep saying that every 5 or 10 years, but I think it's also really happening, because the challenge is not in the technology anymore. The challenge is really in understanding the business and working with subject matter experts, as you mentioned, Zach, earlier, and really building solutions that help customers and help businesses be successful. So thank you for being here. And I look forward to talking again in a couple of months.
And before you turn off, or you can turn off the recording, but Zach, we definitely need to talk.
Yeah, let's connect. I'm very happy to meet both of you guys. And Luc, I'll reach out to you on LinkedIn. We can connect. And Rob, anytime I can be of service or support, you just let me know.
Go ahead, guys.